Good morning class. This is Rupali Memane, Assistant Professor, Arihant College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Camp Pune. So to begin with, we will be doing the session 3 on remedial courses or revision courses, that is C++ programming. So in today's session, I will be taking concepts of C++ programming, then learn the object-oriented programming, what is inheritance and what are the types of inheritance. We will also see the operators in C and C++, then what are C++ functions, then C++ arrays, constructors in C++, we will learn abstract classes and C++ exception handling. So to start with, what exactly is C++ programming? Now it is a powerful general purpose programming language which can be used to develop operating system, browsers, games and so on. So C++ is a basic programming language which will allow you to create programs. Now C++ allows you to create programs which are procedure oriented as well as object oriented. Now you have already learned C programming, which is a procedure oriented language, but C++ will give you more advanced features than C. Now it supports different ways of programming, that is functional, procedure and object oriented, which makes it more flexible. So continuing, now what are the basic concepts of CPP? Now C is a direct descendant of C programming language, but it gives you an additional features such as type checking, then some object oriented concepts called as OOPS concept, then your exception handling, file handling and so on. Now it is designed for developing applications which you can use widely and wide variety in various domains and applications, and in any industry related software which you want to develop, you can start with C++. And once you know the basics of C++, it is very easy for you to understand the various concepts, because any programming language nowadays which you develop, maybe next time you are going to learn Java, your PHP and all Python and everything will be learned on based on object oriented. So you need to understand the object oriented concepts in C++. So what are the object oriented programming concepts? Familiarly called as OOPS concept. Now these are the major pillars of object oriented. First you have a class, then you have object, then you have encapsulation, abstraction and inheritance. So these are the 6 parameters which are giving you the properties of your object oriented programming. We will learn each and every concept in detail. So what exactly is class and what is an object? Now class is a C++ basic building block that leads to object oriented programming. So it is a user defined data types which holds the data members and member functions which can be accessed and used by creating an instance of that class. So basically class is a blueprint wherein you are going to create a structure. Now you have already done structures in C. Now what you have in structures, you write different data members, you write data functions, member functions, and then you encapsulate it, and when you have to access the data members from that, you need to create instances. So we have seen in C struct student, and then you open the curl brackets and you write int roll number, character name and so on, and then you close the curl bracket and write S1. So that is a structure. So a similar concept of structure is called as your class. So it is just a blueprint or a draft of what exactly you are going to do, and then when you want to access those, you need to create object of that class and then you can access it parameter. So looking here, let's see an example. Now consider the class of cars. There are many cars with different names and brand, but all of them will have share some common properties, like all the cars will have 4 wheels, or the cars will have speed limit, the mileage, rent, etc. So I create a class of cars and everything will be common to them. And when I want to give a different priority, let's say I want to define a Ford, or I want to define a Ferrari or a Maruti, so I can have it from the base class cars. So data members are the data variables and the member functions are the functions which are used to manipulate these variables, and together these data members and member function define the properties and behavior of that class. Now what is an object then? So once you have defined a class, you go on creating n number of objects. So you are going to create n number of instances of that class. So once I have defined the class, I can go on creating instance. Now no memory is allocated, but only it is instantiated. So only when you define a object, then the memory is allocated to that particular class. Unless and until you don't create an object, no memory is allocated. Now proceeding further, look here at this example. So here I have classes. So I have defined a class box. Then I need to give access specifier. So private is an access specifier. Private access specifier, you know, it will give access only to the data members of that particular class and not otherwise. And public access specifier, these member functions can be accessed even outside the class. So this class defined, and then I am going to create instances of this box. So let's say box B1 is an instance of class. Now box B1 will have this data members, so I am able to access it. Then box B2 and box B3. So these are the objects of this class box. Now the second concept we will see is your inheritance. Now what exactly is inheritance? It is one key feature of object-oriented programming in C++, which allows us to create a new class, that is a derived class, which is existing from a base class. So I have a base class and I am trying to derive the class which is already from the base class, and the derived class will inherit all the features of the base class, and it can also have its own features. So look here, class vehicle is the base class. Now in base class, every vehicle will have the fuel amount, the capacity and apply brakes, right? So this is a base class. Now I am going to derive various classes from this. So if I say class bus, now class bus will have fuel amount, capacity, apply brakes, and it will have the number of seats, the dimension of the bus and other things. Then class car, again these three will be common, and class car will be again 2-seater, 4-seater, then you have manual or automatic cars and so on. And class truck, again these things and additional features of the class. So this way in the basic class I have defined some member functions, and if I want to inherit, I am going to define different classes which will inherit the property of the base class and will have some additional features. Now these are some types of inheritance. Now a class can be inherited or derived from only one base class, that is called as your single inheritance. If I am going to inherit a class from two base classes, it is called as multiple inheritance. So class A and class B are inheriting to class C. Then I have got hierarchical, and hierarchical inheritance is I have got class A and it is deriving three different classes B, C and D. Then I have got multi-level inheritance. What is multi-level inheritance? Class A is the base class. You have class B which is derived from class A, and you have class C which is derived from class B, which is a parent class. So here B is a child class of class A and a parent of C. And last is we have got hybrid inheritance. Now what is hybrid inheritance? It is a combination of multi-level and hierarchical, anything. So here I have class A base class. It is deriving two classes, class B and class D, which are combining to form a derived class, class C. So this is an example of your hybrid inheritance. Now proceeding further, let's see what are operators in C++. Now operators in C++. Now C++ supports with different operators. Your arithmetic operators, your logical operators, relational operators, bitwise, assignment and other operators. Now arithmetic are your multiplication, division, plus, minus. Logical is when you are going to apply some logical operations to that. Relation is less than, greater than, is equal to, and those are your relational. Bitwise is I am going to shift the operator, shift right or shift left. An assignment operator, if you want to assign any value to a variable, you use the assignment operator. So these are different operators you have in C++. Now what is function in C++? A function is a group of statements that to. Now what are C++ functions? So a function is a group of statements that together perform a particular task. Now every C++ program at least have one function, which is called as the main function. So a function declaration tells the compiler about the function's name, then what is its return type, and what parameters or argument has to be passed in that particular function. So a function can have the actual body of the function, then The function can be defined first, then you can declare the function, and you can call the function. So function will have all these things which need to be defined, declared to execute that particular function. A function definition is where you are actually going to write the body of the function, what exactly that function is going to do, what are the execution steps of that function. And function declaration is where you define the data type, the function name, and when it has to be called. Now the C++ also supports you with some standard library functions. These are also called as your built-in functions. So when you start with C++, some built-in functions are already given to you. Let's say, like suppose if I have to print a particular statement, in C you used printf statement. If I have to accept some values from the user, I have the scanf function. So these are printf and scanf are the built-in functions which are given to you by the compiler, and when you have to execute this function, you need to define its prototype, which is defined in the first line when you write the include statement or hash include stdio.io. So when I have the prototype of this built-in function is specified in the stdio. So here you have some relevant functions with related to string also, that is string cat, which will concatenate the string, and the memcap, which will copy one memory location into another location. So here I have given an example or a syntax of how do you define a function. So first you need to write what is going to be the return type, the data type, then you are going to write the function name. The function name will follow the same parameters as you have for identifiers, and if there are any arguments to be passed, the parameter list will be passed in the function, and then you define the actual body of the function. So proceeding further, what are data types then? Now data types are variables reserved memory locations to store the values. Now when you create a variable, you reserve some space in the memory. Now to store this information, we need to know what exactly the variable is, whether it is a character, it is an integer, a floating type, a boolean, a double, etc. So based on the data type, the variable will allocate that much memory space, and it will reserve the memory space, and when you want to call it, it will recall from that memory. So C++ offers the programmer a rich assortment of built-in as well as user-defined data types. Now let's see what are the C++ data types. Now these are C++ data types. They can be divided into built-in, that is a primitive, into derived, and a user defined. Now built-in primitive you already learned in C. You have got integer, you have got floating, and void. Now what is void? Void is not going to return any value, so it is a null data type. Then integer and floating. Integer again you have int and char. Floating you have float and double. Now when you try to derive a data type from this built-in or the primitive, you get a derived. Now when I have a collection of similar data type, let's say I want to collect all roll numbers of student. So those are all integer data type. Then I have to create it as an array. So array is a collection of similar data types. So I have a derived array. Then pointers. Now what are pointers? You have learned the concept of pointers. It points to the address of another variable, so it is going to be derived from a previous data type. So that becomes one. And references, when you are giving the reference, if this is an instance of this particular object or where actually the reference of this data type is going to be stored. So this is derived. Now a third type I have is called as your user defined data type. Now what is a user defined data type? When you are actually creating a data type based on the requirements of the user. So we are creating the structure. In structure we don't know, maybe I want for student roll number name, for employee ID, employee name. So that I am going to define. So I have got structures, unions, classes, and enumerations. Now proceeding further, we have the concept of arrays. Now what are arrays in C++? Arrays store a fixed size sequential collection of elements which are of the same type. Now array is basically used to store the collection of data, but is more useful to think of an array as a collection of variables with the similar data. So here I have given example, type array, what should be the array size, or here the example is I have created a variable balance which is of the data type double, which is going to store 10 size. Then or balance with double and size 4. Here I am assigning the values to that array also with the curl brackets. So to declare an array, we need to specify the type of element and the number of elements it is going to accept. Now arrays will be starting with the index of 0 and then it will go on 0, 1, 2 and so on. So array size will be starting with 0. So here in 10 it will start with 0 and end till 9. Now the important concept in C++ are the constructor. Now what is a constructor? We have already seen what is a function. So here a constructor is a special member function of the class which initializes object of that class. Now in C++, a constructor is automatically called when an object is created. So I don't have to call the constructor. When I create the object, it automatically calls that constructor of the class. Now it is different from the following normal function. So how is it differ? When I say it is a member function, now constructor will have the same name as the class. For function you can give any different types of name, say addition, subtraction and so on, but constructor will have the same name which you are giving it to the class. Constructors will never have a return type. We have seen that while writing a function we need to write the data types. Even if it is not returning any value, I need to write void, but constructors will never have a return type. And for function you need to declare the function, define it and then call it, but constructor will be called automatically when the object is created. You do not have to call it. And if we do not specify a constructor, the C++ compiler generates a default constructor for us. Now what are the types of constructors we have in CPP? In CPP we have the default constructor, which is the class name. We have a parameterized constructor. Now with the constructor name will be class name and I pass some parameters. Same way I pass parameters in function. Similar way I will be passing some parameters in my function or the constructor. And then is the third is the copy constructor. Again it will give you what is the new object and from what it has to be copied. So it will be like class name, constant class name and the old object. Now the next important topic in C++ is abstract class. Now what are abstract classes? They are at least one pure virtual function. That is, what do you mean by virtual function? Virtual function is a function which has got no definition. Now we have seen three things in the function. One is the declaration of the function, one is the definition and one is the calling. So when you declare the function but you do not define it, that becomes your virtual function. And when you have got functions in a class, that class becomes abstract. So the class inheriting the abstract must now have to provide the definition, because you have not defined the function in the abstract class, because it is a virtual function. Then when you are deriving it in the other class, you need to define the function. Now for example, here vehicle is a parent class with truck and motorbike inheriting from its abstraction. That allows more vehicle. But when I try to create the function, let's say modifying the bike or something, I need to define it in the derivation of that particular class. So these are called abstract classes, which are essential in providing abstraction to the code and make it more usable and extensible. Then here is an example, abstract class. Here I have defined a class shape. I have given a method double area. So it is of access specifier public, and I have defined it in the base class. I have not defined the function, I have just declared it. But when I inherit it in rectangle or in circle, I need to define the area function. So look at the definition here. In rectangle, I return the area as return length and breadth. But in circle, the same function, but the definition is different. Here I am returning the area by pi r square, that is 3.14 into r. So both are concrete classes. That means abstract class has been defined, no definition in the base class, but the definition is in the derived class. Now when you are executing some programs, we come to some errors. Now these errors need to be handled in a proper way. This is called as your exception handling. This will arise when you are executing the program. And C++ exception is a response to exceptional circumstances that arise when the program is running. Such as if you are trying to attempt a divide by number by 0, it will show that a number cannot be divided by 0. But if you do not give a user defined statement, it will abruptly stop and the user will not know what exactly has happened. So you need to catch those exceptions and define a message with which the user understand what exactly is happening to that. So here this exception provides a way to transfer the control from one part of the program to another part. So here I have used that with 3 keywords here: try, catch and throw. Now what is throw? A throw program throws an exception when any program is encountered. It is usually done using the keyword throw. Then what is catch? When the program throws an exception, then the catch keyword or the catch block tries to catch it and gives the steps what actually has to be done. And what is a try? It identifies the block of code for which the particular exception has been activated. Now let's see with this example. So here I have written the program, I have written the block try, I write the code, and if there is any error in the code, it will be automatically caught by the catch statement. I need to pass with that exception, and that catch block I need to write what actually has to be done. I have got n number of catch statements in my exception block. So in today's lecture we have seen all the overview of C++ programming. So when you have to go for interviews or any vivas, instead of going through the long books, you can just go to this revision sessions and see the basic concepts of programming, what is object oriented programming, then your operators, functions, arrays, constructors in C++, then inheritance and what are the type of inheritance, and if you want to know what is virtual function, what are abstract classes, and what is exception handling in C++. So this session has tried to cover all those topics. So for this session I have taken references from these sites. So till then, thank you and see you in my next lectures. So kindly subscribe to the channel for more upcoming lectures. Thank you.